My name is Alan Kennedy, and I run an organization called TTM Coaching, and I help people grow professional services businesses, things like accountants, solicitors, IT professionals, and HR advisors are my typical clients, and we generally see clients, 1, increase prices, 2, get more clients, 3, get better clients, and 4, have less stress. That's our mission statement, and so far it's proving that we are achieving it. So I'm going to talk today about building a networking group. My objective always in business is to take clients from what I call Hell Island to what I call Heaven Island, and the same is true with a networking group. To my mind, Hell Island for a networking group is something where no one turns up, or not many people turn up, so less than 10, definitely, probably less than 15, where the people who do turn up are unhelpful. They're coming to the room to sell, or it's not sociable, and there's no referrals. To my mind, there's no point in doing networking unless you get something out of it, either to learn how to build your business or to refer business between each other. So all of that results in it going nowhere, and we earn no money. So we don't want that. But what do we want? Well, we want a networking group that is buzzy. There's lots of people in the room, lots of referrals flowing, the right people turning up, and it feels like teamwork. Okay, and that's what we're aiming for when we start a networking group, and that's what you're selling to people when you're persuading them to come along. So, and all of that will lead to your business growing. That's the hope anyway, and that's if that doesn't happen, then you don't want to do it. So, getting to Heaven Island, how do we get there without cold calling? Because I'm sure some of you don't, unlike me, enjoy cold calling. So, number 1, we tell stories. Tell stories about what you're trying to achieve. Tell stories about what you have achieved. If you've got no one in the room and you've got no one to tell stories about, tell them the stories about what it's going to be like in the future. Set the standards when you tell stories. This is what we expect from members, and if you want to be part of a group that has that sort of membership, then tell us. So a good example would be, I've been to a networking group called Business Buzz, and they have 3 rules: that you should speak to someone you don't know, you should invite a friend, and you should do a one-to-one with people in the group. They seem like very simple rules, and they tell stories about how they're going to build a sociable networking group. Then you have to know the numbers. Building a networking group, I'm not going to pretend it's anything but hard work. Why is that? I don't think anyone knows. It's just, you've got to be in it for the long game. And my rough rule of thumb is that, assuming they're semi-warm invites, not cold invites, you get a 1% response rate from cold invites, but semi-warm invites, you have to send out 36 invites to get 6 people say yes, they'll turn up. And having had 6 people say yes, they turn up, 1 does. That was just from our experience of building BNI in Oxford. That's what we had to do. And so don't be disappointed if you invite people they don't turn up. But unless you send out an awful lot of invites to an awful lot of people, you won't build your networking group. And when you send the invites, explain to people the reason why they should turn up. I do a checklist, a marketing copy checklist, and number 1 point on it is that the marketing copy should mention you more than we. And the people you send invites to will not be interested in your networking group. They're only interested in what it does for them. And you have to explain that in the invite. So you can explain that by saying something like, we're trying to build a networking group where referrals flow between each other. We've had a lot of success thus far. For example, last week we had something of that sort of ilk. And also we're trying to build a community. So, and you would talk about how you're going to build the community, what sort of things you're going to put in place to build the community, and just to invite people along to be part of that community. People love being part of a community. They love being part of a family, a happy family. Okay. And then be generous to your new clients and new attendees. When someone walks into the room and they don't know anyone, go over and talk to them. There's nothing worse than walking into a networking room and no one being friendly to you. Introduce them to people who they may well get on with and might be able to cross-refer to. So if you were an accountant to walk into the networking room, I would expect them to be introduced to the solicitor, the IFA, the computer network specialist, all people who might refer to them and vice versa. And be generous and learn from your competition. The networking groups is a very crowded market, but we can learn a lot from other people. I think of the networking groups in Oxfordshire when I'm at my own networking group, Oxford Business Leaders, and there's some very good competitors. I love some of the things they do. I love BNI. I love Open Doors. They both have a lot of good things about them, and I refer clients to both of them when that networking group suited them better than my networking group did. And then, key point, you have to either train or remove aliens. Sometimes aliens come into a room. Let's say an alien is someone who just sells and sells and sells and sells, and they don't realize what they're doing. And so when anyone came into a room in the networking groups I've chaired, I always trained them. I always said, this is what we expect from you. And in particular, I would train them on the 60-second talk, because there's nothing worse than sitting there listening to really boring 60-second talks. And I would give them examples of what a good 60-second talk looked like. And after they'd done their 60-second talk, I would give them feedback. If they were nervous, I would explain to them how not to be nervous. I used to say things like, ignore the fact there's 35 people in the room. Just talk to 3 people in the room, one in the middle, one on the right-hand side, one on the left-hand side, and pretend you're sitting in your front room in front of the fire, having a chat about what you did for a client this week. And lastly, in terms of building a networking group, do things you enjoy. If you don't enjoy cold calling, don't do it. But if you do enjoy playing golf, do that to build your networking group. So it's at Alan Kennedy of Time, Team and Money. There are contact details in the description below. So do contact me and get some more advice on how to build your business. Thank you very much for listening. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to end the recording.